Good evening and thanks for making MTN a part of your night. I'm Tim McGonigal. Protests and demonstrations for the Black Lives Matter movement continue across the nation. In Seattle, protesters continue to occupy an area of the city where police have abandoned a precinct. In other cities, there's a movement to bring down offensive statues following the death of George Floyd while in police custody. Coming up Sunday, there will be a rally at the state capitol in Helena. Tonight, the Electric City is bringing awareness to the issue for the third time in less than 3 weeks. And we have our very own Lindsay Hyatt standing by at Whittier Park live, where people are beginning to gather for tonight's march to the federal courthouse. Lindsay?
Thanks, Tim. That's right. We are reporting to you live from Whittier Park, where an expected turnout of 100 people are supposed to be gathering fairly shortly. So in around 30 minutes, 100 or so protesters are expected to attend and march to the federal courthouse. Now, this is the third demonstration that has taken place in just under 3 weeks. So, and of those demonstrations, each one has had a distinct purpose. So the first was to raise awareness about systemic discrimination. The second was to promote ways that the community can help stop discrimination in the community. And the third, tonight's event actually has a unique purpose of its own. I spoke with the event coordinator a little bit earlier today to talk about what that purpose is. Take a look at what she had to say.
So this one tonight is mostly about educating. There's 3 topics that I really want this one to focus on, and it's qualified immunity, de-escalation training, and defunding the police. And I know when I say that, not a lot of people know what I'm talking about, and they just automatically think the worst things. So tonight is about educating them on those topics and what they can do to actually see that change in our community.
Tonight's protest is scheduled to take place from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll have more later. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks a lot, Lindsay. Lindsay Hyatt reporting from Great Falls. Well, in January, a 3-month search began for a beloved Great Falls woman, Amy Harding Perman. Now, 5 months after the search began, she can finally be laid to rest. Earlier today, Amy's funeral service was held at Croxford Funeral Home and Crematory. The benefice nurse was honored with a ceremony that celebrated her life. The 34-year-old leaves behind 2 sons, a legacy of love for others that was evident in her work and relationships with others. Donations in her honor can be made to the Children's Museum of Montana. The state has added new coronavirus cases today in Gallatin, Bighorn, Custer, and Lake counties, bringing the total to 48 active cases. There are only 7 active hospitalizations in the state, and now 506 people have fully recovered from the virus. In Lewis and Clark County, Pureview Health Center will host their second round of free COVID-19 tests tomorrow. MTN's Alexi Aguayo met with Pureview leaders to discuss the new changes.
There will be a few changes to Pureview's second round of testing after last week's first round. Instead of 2 lanes, Pureview says they will have 4 lanes to speed up the testing process.
There will be 2 lanes in each parking section, as you can see behind me here. Each lane will be divided by how many people are in the vehicle. This way, vehicles with only 1 person can be tested faster.
Bigger groups tend to take a little bit longer. If we can get the singles and doubles through faster, then we can get a lot more people through.
Jill also apologized to surrounding neighbors of the health center as the testing did cause traffic in last week's first round.
I want to thank the Fee Street neighbors that we have going up Fee Street. It is a line of traffic that forms for the 4 hours of the drive-through, and I apologize for that. We're trying our best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Pureview says they completed close to 500 tests in the 4 hours from last week's round of testing, and all tests came out negative for the coronavirus. All 500 who took the test should have received their call for their results. Pureview still plans to have about 800 tests available for Saturday. In Helena, I'm Lexi Aguayo, MTN News.
And depending on the turnout for Saturday, Pureview will decide on hosting more drive-through testings in the future. Leaders with the EPA are highlighting some of the progress they've made in the last year on SUPERFUND projects around Montana. The agency released a yearly report for the region. Leaders say the EPA has been putting effort into getting work started on long-awaited projects. They put the Butte and Anaconda SUPERFUND sites on a new emphasis list. The agency highlighted the removal of some of the Libby asbestos sites from the SUPERFUND program, The report also showcases the East Helena smelter site as an example for what can be done on reclaimed ground. They pointed to new developments and to the Prickly Pear Trail project that are going forward there.
I've really been honored to see the community transform there, and it's still being transformed as we speak.
Cleanup at the former Asarco smelter site has been going on for several years. Crews have capped contaminated soils and rebuilt a 1.5 miles of Prickly Pear Creek's channel. Well, the president of what's become Montana's largest labor union is stepping down after 36 years on the job. Eric Fever, the head of the Montana Federation of Public Employees, has also been a key player on the state political scene and in many issues involving public schools, workers, and public policy. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison caught up with Fever on his last day at the office and files our report.
Eric Fever came to Helena in 1974, and during his first week as a history teacher, a colleague had a message for him.
I was sitting at my desk at Helena Junior High. It was like the first or second day of my job as a teacher there, and a guy came in and said, you know, folks around here joined the union, and handed me a membership form. I said, oh, well, I want to do what folks around here do, and so I signed the form.
By 1982, he was vice president of the Montana Education Association, and 2 years later became its president. MEA has 6,000 members then. Now, after 2 mergers with other unions, it has a new name and 23,000 members, including teachers and school workers, university faculty, thousands of state workers, and local police and law enforcement, among others. Fever says all during his tenure, he encouraged the union to be politically engaged.
We will actively attempt to elect people who will support public schools, public institutions, employees, retirement benefits, fair salaries.
He says if workers want better pay and benefits and working conditions, they need to be organized, now more than ever. Yet the former teacher says he's especially proud of what his union did to improve school accreditation and teacher standards in Montana. And now he says it must play a role in helping bring kids back to school this fall in the wake of closures brought on by the coronavirus pandemic.
I think our schools are excellent on balance, but they now face a very serious impediment to delivering that excellence going forward.
In politics, the union mostly works to elect Democrats because, Fever says, they more strongly support what the union supports: public institutions, organized labor, good government, and paying for the government that people want. He says he'll still be working for those ideals, but not as union president. He's stepping down and will be succeeded by former state representative and teacher Amanda Curtis. On Friday morning, however, Fever still had a few hours left to occupy the office across the street from the Capitol, where he's been since 1984. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Fever is also a Vietnam combat veteran serving as an Army medic in 1969. Well, Grant is off again tonight, so it's time for another reunion in the Weather Center. MTN's Elizabeth Copeland joins us with our first forecast.
Hey there, I hope that you're having a great Friday. It's very warm in central and eastern Montana. We're tracking a good jump in temperatures from this time yesterday. We were still on that warming trend yesterday. Well, today we are about 8 to 10 degrees warmer than we were this time yesterday. So warmer weather still funneling in, all because of that ridge, but we all are going to see some wind pick up. We're already seeing gusts across the northeast corner, right about 35 miles per hour through Glasgow, 25 miles per hour through Jordan. So that wind is going to continue picking up as our next system moves in. That's going to bring some breezy conditions and also some much cooler air. So we go from the 80s and 90s today to the upper 80s on Saturday, our really last day of mostly clear conditions for north central and northeast Montana. Big drop in temperatures on the way for the weekend as we drop to the 60s on Sunday. We continue tracking not only cooler weather and wind, but also some of those stronger storms possible as we head to the weekend, all coming up here shortly.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, coming up next, a country crooner talks about his early days playing baseball in East Helena. A chat with Charlie Pride after the break.
powered by the Montana Television Network. The 5:30 news continues on Montana's News Leader.
Welcome back. Plenty of Hall of Famers have played baseball in the Pioneer League, but only one of them is a pioneering member of the Grand Ole Opry. MTN's Tom Wiley caught up with a country music legend who spent a decade on the baseball diamond in Montana.
Charlie Pride needs no introduction. He's a country music Hall of Famer. He has 30 #1 hits on the Billboard charts, and he's a pioneer, breaking numerous barriers in a predominantly white industry. But the legend of Charlie Pride the musician starts in Montana.
I started singing there, and that's where I started getting my recognition as singing in clubs and things like that. From there to here, you know.
And his time in Montana started with a dream to be the best professional baseball player the world has ever seen.
My thing was to go to the major leagues and break all the records and set new ones by the time I was 35 or 36. Didn't sing. That's kind of the way I had it planned, you know, but it didn't work out that way.
Pride bounced around between teams in the Negro Leagues and various minor league affiliates before a 2-year stint in the Army. When he was discharged, Pride got the itch to play baseball again. He borrowed $400, left $200 with his wife in Memphis, took $200 for himself, and headed to Missoula to play for the Timberjacks of the Pioneer League.
I got a reply from Missoula, Montana. So you get in good a shape as you can. We sign you, we'll reimburse you. That's what they did. What they sent me. I went to Idaho Falls, Billings, and back to Missoula. I was up 3 times, drove in 2 runs.
After stints with clubs in Missoula and East Helena, Charlie's music career took off like a rocket. For more on Charlie's story and his time in Montana, check out the full feature at montanasports.com. Reporting from home, Tom Wiley, MTN News.
And coming up tonight at 10, Charlie shares some of the challenge he faced as one of the first black country music singers to make it big. Well, 101-year-old World War II veteran was honored today as he visited Helena. Sidney Walton has been touring around the country. He arrived in Helena this morning where he was greeted by Mayor Wilmot Collins, local first responders, and the Patriot Guard riders, then escorted Walton and his family to the state capitol to meet with Governor Steve Bullock. Walton has visited 31 governors over the last 2 years and is hoping to meet with the other 19. His family says he's taking these tours as a way to raise awareness of the remaining veterans who fought in World War II. They say they're gratified by the support people in Montana have shown.
How do you feel when hundreds of people come out to support you and thank you for your service? How does that make you feel?
Oh, it makes me feel real good.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh, yes.
Now, this isn't Sidney Walton's first time in Montana. He actually lived in the Plentywood area after the war while working for the U.S. Geological Survey.
All right, coming up after the break, we're going to be tracking another warm day until some rain moves in. We're tracking showers and storms in the forecast coming up after the break. Everyone, one last day of filling in for North Central and Northeast Montana, and it's going to be a decently quiet one besides a few showers here and there, but we're going to be tracking a very active weekend, which means some storms are moving in. So right now we actually have a little bit of a breeze out there. We were showing you earlier 35-mile-per-hour gusts out of the northwest for Glasgow, and most of that wind out of the northwest gusting about 20-25 miles per hour elsewhere in North Central Montana, all because we still have that nice ridge that sets up above us. That's actually keeping us mostly clear, especially through the high line right now. A few spotty showers, though, are going to start picking up right around Helena, moving toward Great Falls here, but those aren't going to be strong tonight. We are going to track those becoming strong for the weekend, though. So tracking those out for the next few hours for your Friday evening plans, looking mostly dry, a few clouds here and there for your Friday night. So a great night to eat some dinner outdoors, maybe just moving a rock or two over the napkin so they don't blow away. But other than that, a great evening to be outdoors, enjoying that very warm weather. Now, Saturday morning comes around, we're going to see a spotty shower here and there, mostly kicking up right across the front where a lot of that cloud base starts to build in. A few spotty showers across the high line. Again, nothing severe here. Most of that activity is going to hold off to our west on Saturday afternoon before some of those storms start kicking over the front right about 4 to 5 p.m. on Saturday evening. So really our first set of storms right through the northeast corner. We're going to start seeing some stronger storms, especially out of this cell. This is the one we're going to be be watching for Glasgow and northeast by 4:30, and then right just north of Great Falls down into the Butte area. This line of storms also going to be monitoring those on Saturday afternoon. So besides storms in the forecast, we're also tracking quite a bit of wind. So wind is really going to start kicking off here on Saturday morning for the northeast corner right around 8 a.m. Now as we head to the afternoon hours, even more wind starts moving up through Helena. We're looking at 30-40 mile per hour gusts. Northeast corner still holds steady at those 30-40 mile per hour gusts as well. And then it becomes very windy, especially across central and southwest Montana by Saturday afternoon. Really seeing that wind kick up across there and the northeast corner. And we're going to continue to keep that wind in, even 50 mile per hour gusts possible as that storm kicks off to the east around Glendive around Saturday evening. So waking up on Saturday to a few storms here and there. Those storms build in, and we're going to bed with that wind as well. So we do still have some lake wind advisories in effect for Fort Peck Lake. Probably not the best day to get on the lake anyway, since we are tracking some of those storms. And then we're going to see a high wind watch in effect for most of central Montana as well down into Butte. So high wind moving in with this next storm, and so is that strong to severe weather. So tomorrow's risk mostly stays across western Montana. Again, we were watching that cell across Glasgow about 4:30 tomorrow, and then we're going to see more of those storms kick off to the east for Saturday as well. So for that MoCast these next few days, do expect at least Saturday morning to be great. Get it done early because we have those storms moving in Saturday evening. Sunday, a lot more of those showers and storms move in. Monday, we have some spotty showers remaining in the forecast as well. So after that storm moves through and it's breezy on Saturday with a few isolated storms across the front, we're going to have a lot more of that activity really ramp up for Great Falls on Sunday. We take a big temperature drop down into the 60s, and for Helena Saturday, a couple of thunderstorms move in a little earlier for us on Saturday evening, taking a drop to the 50s on Sunday, leaving that rain in through next week.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Well, if you're an essential worker, it may be time for a change. We'll explain why that's a good thing when the 5:30 news continues.
Powered by the Montana Television Network. The 5:30 news continues on Montana's news leader.
We're in the final few days of our challenge to the community to raise money for the Great Falls Community Food Bank. Our parent company, Scripps, donated $12,000 to the food bank, and we're encouraging you to help match that donation. More than 70 agencies are served by the Great Falls Community Food Bank. In April and May, the food bank saw an increase in demand, nearly doubling how much food they'd normally give out. Executive Director Sean Tatarka says they're grateful for the community's support as they prepare for more uncertainty.
We are still a little bit nervous about what's coming up because it's our summer months when we definitely see a drop in donations, and that need I don't think is going to drop at all this summer.
Donations to the food bank go towards the purchase of more food to supply organizations keeping the fridges and freezers going, help to pay staff, and if you'd like to help out the food bank, you can just give them a call, or to make a donation, you can head to our website for a link. Well, routine maintenance is essential to keep your car running. Now, one Great Falls auto dealer is offering a free oil change and tire rotation to frontline and essential workers. Bison Ford is thanking Montana's essential workers for everything they've done during the COVID-19 pandemic. The company's vice president told MTN they just want to show appreciation and take some of the pressure off for people.
I think that we've seen a lot of people that want to come in and get service work done. I think that, there's a lot of barriers to that right now. Being able to get out of the house is one of them. Being able to afford it is another one. So we're here, we're open regular hours. Hopefully this will take a little bit of that strain off.
Eligible participants do not have to own a Ford vehicle to take advantage of the offer, but you must claim the offer by the end of the month. We're back right after this. Well, today was a good day to cool off, and fortunately for Great Falls residents, Electric City Water Park has officially opened. The water park has implemented some restrictions, asking people to come dressed for swimming because the locker rooms are not available for changing. There will be no lounge chairs or picnic tables available, and when customers arrive, they will be asked to sign a document saying they don't have symptoms or exposure to COVID-19. The water park's aquatic supervisor says they're excited to be open.
It's super exciting to be open today. We got a lot of kids who are been cooped up for a while, and a lot of people ready to be out here. So we're super excited. The lifeguarding staff's ready to go. All the cashiers, concessions, everyone's ready to go and have fun with it.
They're also asking customers to maintain a safe social distance, staying at least 6 feet apart from each other. And by the looks of what we heard for the weekend, it's going to be another hot one tomorrow, so get on out and enjoy the water park. That's all the time we have at 5:30. We'll see you back here tonight at 10.